Good afternoon. This is Speak On It in collaboration with the West Side Heroin Task Force. We continue on the journey of awareness as it relates to some conditions in many communities throughout the country, in particular as it relates to the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force, State Rep LaShawn Ford's district. I'm thinking it's the 8th district. He and a lot of the partners and agencies in his district have come together and they are working diligently to try to provide services to those that are suffering from substance disorders. And today, I want to bring it up a notch or two from the street level. You all know I like street level action. But I think tonight we want to go into something else to help you understand, and as you look at these videos, just imagine, just think, check the kinetics. Think about those that you see and those you don't, and try to see them from a non-judgmental perspective. Now I'm going to show you a picture, and I want you to look at this picture because I want you to look at this person that became a thing. Now this woman was decent looking, but she started using death. She started using dope. In her case, meth. And ain't no telling what else. And you can see the deterioration here. And I guess for me, the challenge is anyone should be able to see that this is deeper than a person trying to be cool. Because after a minute, you look in the mirror, you know daggone well, ain't nothing cool with what you see in the transformation. But you keep going. And you can see where she's gone so far that all they need to do now is just take a shovel and put some dirt on her and she out of here. But what happens is we judge, we laugh, but people are suffering. People are truly the living dead. And this ain't no makeup TV thing here. This is the one that I chose because I've been seeing it coming across. And then I looked at it and I said, well, this might be all right for us to look at and for us to have implanted in our subconscious state that we can begin to tell our daughters, particularly our woman, particularly, because some of these nappy neck females out here, they ain't doing meth, but they doing some pill, and they're deteriorating just like this. They are so hung up on these pills. Now, back in the day when I was a shorty, you know, you had Red Devils, you had this, you had that. You ain't never had nothing like the dope they got today. The dope they got today will make you look like this. The dope they have today have women, mothers, significant others, allowing themselves to become this. Ain't got nothing to do with color. It ain't got nothing to do with race. It's got to do with what you see in that mirror. When Michael Jackson did Thriller, and then he did The Man in the Mirror. I don't know which one came first, so don't try to be technical with me. So when I say when he did whatever, this is some of that Thriller action. This is some of those creatures coming out of the ground, but now in real time. Every day is Halloween. So what we want to do now is go to a piece, and while he's getting that done, I'm going to just sit here and just tell you. We want to look at the attitude of this little, and see, y'all be talking crazy about Trump, but I ain't gonna say all that. See, Trump know why he wants some of these people out from over here. And as you look at this first clip, at this little employee and his judgmental, insensitive, non-compassionate self, you will see why Trump wanna send him wherever in the hell he came from. Because he's sitting in there, instead of doing his job and providing services, he's sitting in there thinking it's a joke. But I don't want to say no more. I just want to show you this. And I'm assuming it's ready. I hope it's ready. And if it's ready, we're going to look at this here. And I want you to do your own analysis here.
You got the door? Ready for a report on room 346?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we have an Yvette Ogum. She is a 34-year-old female brought into ambulance last night at 1800 for a heroin overdose. She was given 2 doses of naloxone, 2 milligrams each dose. She vomited twice following the naloxone. Following stabilization in the ER, she's brought to our floor for monitoring. Patient is allergic to aspirin and has a history of back surgery in 2012. She has depression and drug abuse. Patient has been admitted twice before for heroin overdose and has been sent to rehab 3 times in the last 3 years. I'm guessing she became addicted to the pain medication after her back surgery and switched over to heroin because it was cheaper and easier to get. She did tell me that she's currently going through a divorce with her husband and that she has a bad relationship with her 2 kids. No surprise there. Patient is a hard stick and has a 22 gauge in her right forearm. Labs pending for ETOH, urine toxicology, CBC, CMP, magnesium, and phosphorus. In terms of assessment, she is alert and oriented ×3, lung sounds clear, pulse is strong, abdomen tender. She has track marks all over her extremities, no sign of cellulitis or abscesses yet, but keep watch of her left forearm. We have her on 400 milligrams ibuprofen every 6 hours for her back pain. Next dose is at 8 a.m. She's been ringing her call bell every hour. She is super anxious. She's really high maintenance. So best just to avoid her. She's a drug seeker. She will eat up all your time. Good luck with her.
I'm feeling very concerned about the direction we're going here. I know you're trying to give me a heads up on the situation, but labeling the patient can be unproductive. My experience has been that most often these patients are under-medicated. What was her most recent COWS score?
Her most recent COWS score was 14.
And how did she sleep last night?
With the amount of time she was using her call bell, I'm pretty sure she didn't get any sleep last night. I gotta get out of here. Good luck with her.
Hello, I'm Sharon. I'm going to be your nurse for today. What would you like to be called?
Look, I've been in severe pain all night. All they gave me was Motrin. Motrin's fine for bee stings, but it's not going to do anything to help the pain. It's going to drive me through that wall.
I'm sorry you feel bad. I'm here to help you. Can you please rate your pain on a scale of 1 to 10?
It feels like a Mack truck ran over my back, backed up, and ran back over it again. A 25. Can I have some morphine?
Okay, I'll see what I can do. But first, I have to do an assessment. I'm going to ask you some questions. Are you feeling any other symptoms?
You mean besides being annoyed by these twits, being ignored when I call for help, and being treated like a leper?
I'm sorry you feel this way, like you've been ignored. It seems like you had a rough night and are very uncomfortable. I'm going to call the doctor to see if I can get some more pain medicine for your withdrawal symptoms. But first, I'm going to complete an assessment on you, okay?
Whatever.
Do you have any tremors? Okay, I'm going to check your heart rate. I'm going to look into your eyes. Thank you. How many times have you vomited?
3 times since I got here.
Is it still clear liquid coming up?
Yeah.
Have you had any diarrhea?
Yeah, and soon all my insides will either be out or puked up. Can I have some Oxy?
Okay, I'm going to call the doctor for you to get some more pain medicine, okay? I have seen that you're sweated through your gown. I'm going to get you a new gown, some cool compress, and I have some nausea medication for you. Does that sound like a plan?
Whatever, I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, I'll be right back with that, okay?
Hello, this is Dr. Lopez. How may I help you?
Dr. Lopez, this is Sharon Fairweather calling from Montgomery Hospital about your patient, Miss Yvette Ogam, in room 346.
Oh, yes, I remember her. What is happening with her now?
She was admitted for heroin overdose yesterday. Her COWS score is a 35. She has a history of depression and back pain following surgery 5 years ago. She appears to be in a lot of pain and is anxious and vomiting.
What's her vital signs?
Blood pressure 150/85, heart rate 122, respirations 22, temperature 98.6, pulse ox 100% on room air. She's due for her ibuprofen, but that does not seem to cover her back pain. I am worried that she's withdrawing from heroin. I would like to have an order for anti-anxiety medication and something besides the ibuprofen for her pain.
Any allergies?
Only to aspirin.
Okay, give her,
Your COWS score is now a 10. How are you feeling about your pain now?
I can manage. You know, you're the only one that's treated me like a human being since I got here.
You know, heroin withdrawal is no walk in a park. I've seen you've been through detox several times. We're going to help you get help when you leave here.
I can't keep doing this to my kids. They need me.
I am here for you, to support you. We're going to get you help, and we're going to look at all the solutions that are possible. You are not alone. We're all working together for you to feel better.
Thank you.
Now, that's the other side of this collaboration between Retro Current Team and the West Side Heroin and Opioid Task Force. We ain't just here to be tripping, because, you know, I've been doing this for a minute. But it's more of a commentary to action. It's more an attempt to stimulate as a catalyst that type of spirit that the nurse just demonstrated. But it's the little boy that she relieved that we need to know about. A lot of people go in the environment to get help, but they run into cranks. And when they run into cranks, they suffer. The woman had suffered, and it appeared dude probably had not tried to serve her. He just automatically discounted her. Now, that didn't feel like it. That might have been in New York, but it really felt like it was in another country where black folks might have been in control, because that black nurse did not feel intimidated or bullied by him, but he was definitely dissing her. She tried to tell him and he walk away. That's how they think. That's why we need our own people providing services to us. Now, because we run out of time, we're going to go right into the next piece, because now you will understand why people get caught up. It ain't just because they just weak and they thrill seekers. Look at this piece. It's animated, but I want you to look at it and think. Just pay attention and educate yourself.
This is Susan. Susan loves to bike. While out for a ride, she falls and breaks her arm. Special cells called neurons send a signal through the spinal cord to the brain, which interprets the signal as pain. Susan understands the pain means she needs to go to the hospital, and her body is equipped for survival, helping her not to panic so she can seek help. Many of her neurons are covered in proteins called opioid receptors. These receptors act like a brake to slow down the neuron's ability to send pain signals. When injured, her body releases natural painkillers called endorphins. Like a key in a lock, endorphins activate opioid receptors, slowing down the pain signal and preventing a panic. Susan gets treated for the broken bone, but 3 months later, her arm still hurts. And now that pain is making her feel depressed and anxious. So her doctor prescribes an opioid painkiller. There are many different opioids, but they all share a chemical similarity to our own endorphins. This allows them to bind to the same opioid receptors and stop pain signals. But that's not all they do. Deep inside Susan's brain is a region called the ventral tegmental area, or VTA for short. The VTA is full of neurons that produce a chemical called dopamine. When something good happens, dopamine is released, giving Susan a feeling of pleasure. This helps teach her brain to keep seeking out good things. To keep dopamine neurons in check, inhibitory neurons keep the brakes on until something good comes along. Just like the pain neuron, these neurons are covered in opioid receptors. When Susan takes the painkiller prescribed by her doctor, the opioid receptors turn off the inhibitory neurons and release the brake on the dopamine neurons. The rush of dopamine temporarily eliminates Susan's depression and anxiety, and she feels relief, calmness, and even euphoria. As Susan continues to take the painkillers, her brain responds by trying to regain its balance. Her inhibitory neurons work extra hard, even when the opioid receptors are activated, and it becomes harder and harder for her dopamine neurons to release dopamine. Susan finds that she needs to increase her dose of painkillers in order to feel comfortable. This is called tolerance. Eventually, Susan's pills run out. Inhibitory neurons that have been working overtime are let loose, clamping down on those dopamine neurons and shutting them off almost completely. Now, not only is Susan in pain, but the depression and anxiety come back. On top of that, Susan feels ravaged by an inescapable physical sickness far worse than any flu. Susan's body is going through withdrawal. Most people who take opioids for a long time tend to experience some withdrawal, but they can still stop taking the pills and return to normal. But for people like Susan, it's not so easy. Her genetics and the environment she grew up in put her at a higher risk for addiction. Her withdrawal symptoms aren't just unpleasant, they're unbearable. Susan thinks the only way to feel normal is to find more opioids. And this is how the cycle of opioid addiction emerges, driven by a brain trying to regain its balance. But there is hope for Susan. Though the road to recovery can be challenging and there may be setbacks, treatment can retrain Susan's brain. With the help of medication and therapy, Susan finds pleasure in her life once again.
Now, I just want to say this. In the last part of it, they mentioned genetics, hereditary. Now you talk about DNA. And they talked about the environment. You know, we have to be careful with this. Some people appear to be more susceptible to some of the challenges that we see, that we blame them completely for being like that. But as that particular piece showed, this is not as simple as a person being weak. It's really not. There are things that happen in the brain. There are triggers. There is some BDNA that's there. And that's why we have to be very careful about what we expose our children to. Because some stuff can lay there, and if it don't be stimulated, it might just lay there. I was downtown in Chicago, we still call it downtown, in the Loop the other day, and I saw this dude. He had two little children. The oldest one was about 4, and the other one probably 18 months. He's standing at the bus stop, and the dude was smoking reefer. Now, he was stinking up downtown. But I looked at these two little boys that was with him. I don't know if he was their daddy, their uncle, or just some old mismatched creature this female had with her kids. And I thought, as I sit there and put them quarters in the meter, I said, now, these two little things he gonna let grow up, emulating him. They gonna think the smoking reefer is healthy. He ain't gonna tell them that he's retarded enough to stand in public with children and do that. And there was a time that somebody would have called DCFS and they would have came and looked into it. But now that society has become so promiscuous, so tax craved, they overlook it. But that is truly child abuse. You are abusing your children when you stand there and let the wind blow secondhand smoke into their lungs, into their brain, and make them retarded. But there's another side to that. A lot of these people know that this stuff is hereditary because their mama, their daddy, their grandmama, their granddaddy, 4 generations of them have been on SSI, CHA, now Section 8. And they know that if they can have enough of these little retarded butt kids they call special now, and they keep doing that dope and they get $789, how much they get a head. I mean, that's a good hustle, man. You have 5 of these little mismatched ass, creatures, and all you got to do is smoke some dope, do some dope, and the government keeps subsidizing you until now it becomes what? Hereditary. You have reproduced yourself. But the taxpayers are paying for you. Once again, Dr. Ben Carson, continue the way you going. You hear me? Because unless somebody stop it, the whole daggone group of us will end up with that trait. On the 20th of this month, marked the 400th year that the first 20 so-called slaves landed here in a ship. And I would suggest to us that we are headed into 400 more years, and I doubt if we get to 60 of those years without being sent to the moon. Because so-called Africa don't want y'all back, and I don't blame them. Because when you sit here and see what we are doing to ourselves, what we are doing to our children, then we need to understand why it is that this is what you get. You look in the mirror, use the mother, but you have chosen this over your children. Now, this creature we see here, probably somebody's mama. Somebody used to love her when she was in that other picture over there. But think about the hell she been through and the hell she going through. Now, how does she come back to that herself? And that's the question. How do you come back to yourself after you get through bobbing and weaving? And you go to the hospital and you land up there and you on withdrawal. And then you got some old creature like that little boy that just wrote you off, talking about you like you a thing, like you have no feelings, like you just here. See, like the woman said herself, she was a mother. We all know that was, what it was. But she had feelings, and she had suffered all night. But the little boy that was getting paid to help her get through the night, I doubt if he gave her even a placebo. He didn't do nothing to try to help her. Number one, she was black, and he was something, looked like, I ain't going to speak on that. But see, that's part of my problem. My problem is, I really don't know why we don't snap out of it. We go places to get help, but the people there ain't like us in the way they treat us, you see? But when the black nurse and the black doctor got involved, they had compassion. And maybe if we dealt with people like the people that are part of the task force, the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force, in the State Rep. LaShawn Ford's district, maybe if we dealt with people like that who are compassionate, who are truly trying to help people deal with their substance disorder, maybe if we began to be more compassionate, we would have less of this. Now, I deliberately chose this Caucasian. Don't think, come on, y'all know me right now. I knew you would be more comfortable with seeing this than to see a colored, a Negro, a person of color. See, I know you feel for her. You understand? All right, let me get this caller, because this caller, I don't want the caller thinking we don't care. You got about 10 seconds, caller. Speak on it. Caller? All right, look like the caller got out of here. So until next week, I'm going to get up out of here too, I reckon. I ain't got the signal yet that we got a minute, but I'll be getting it in a minute. So one of the things I want you to understand is that next week we'll have a guest, very knowledgeable lady. And the week after that, we'll have another guest, another very knowledgeable lady. And I just wanted to sort of like lay the foundation tonight on another level than the street level, because they'll be giving you some information that follows what we got tonight. So till next week, we out.